Not much to say. This is just going to be a collection of Pyro's weapons in which I analyze, rank, and give fun facts about his kit. Just a shortened version of a longer video I made back in January, yada yada. Let's go. The Extinguisher was added on June 19, 2008. It's a fall from grace, but then was resurrected, not enough to make it very viable. However, in the Jungle Inferno update, it was given a complete revamp, and it was made actually pretty good. In the original tier list video, I put it in the F tier, or the bad tier. However, I believe it actually deserves the D tier, as it's not terrible, but not great any. Fun fact. As a tribute to Skejek, a very good Pyro main back in the day who died of a terrible illness, Valve added his name to the Extinguisher around the Jungle Inferno update of 2017. Though, when it was found out that he lied about having this illness, his name and tribute was revoked. Next is the Back Scratcher, added December 17th, 2010. While overshadowed by the Power Jack, this melee is a great tool for survivability. Rather than running away, you pick up a health pack and get extra from it. It's amazing. From a medium health pack, you go from picking up, I believe it's about 80, 78, 80. Pair it with the Back Scratcher, you get 132 HP from medium-sized health packs. Now, I know the Power Jack is kind of objectively better, but personally, this is the weapon I run more often. I rank this as a B tier weapon in my original ranking, and I believe that's about where it's going to stay, maybe a B plus, you know, kind of the high end of B. Backburner, added June 19th, 2008 in the original Pyro update. A very average weapon. It has its moments to shine, but it's nothing special. Kind of like a better version of the Backscatter. In the original ranking, I put this in the B tier, and I believe that's about where it's going to stay. Once again, it's another high level B tier. It's actually not a bad weapon, and it's hard to have a bad weapon when, you know, it doesn't really do much different from stock. So take that as you will. But this weapon actually does have an interesting piece of trivia. On release, these were the stats. Crits from behind, plus 50 HP on wearer, no air blast. That is the original set of stats, and the funniest part about this is air blast was added in this update. So they simply added a weapon to take that away. And on top of that, you had 225 health Pyros running around that could crit from behind. So it was an interesting time. This was changed later on. The Degreaser, added September 30th of 2010. I personally have no use for this weapon, as I prefer to WM1, but it can be good if you can actually aim. B tier. Trivia. Before being changed in the Tough Break update, it was the only flamethrower to have the same air blast cost as stock. Though in this update it was changed to 25 rather than 20, which means every unlockable for Pyro other than reskins has a more expensive air blast or lacks it altogether. There's also a little bonus trivia that I didn't write down. It's the fact that at one time the quicker switch to speed and switch away speed was universal, which meant it would help you switch between weapons faster regardless of what weapon it was. So going from melee to secondary would also be quicker. The Detonator, added June 23rd of 2011. I don't really use this weapon, very seldom at least. It's kind of stuck. The thermal thruster can allow for much further ground to be covered, and the Shortshot is better at area denial. But even with this, it's still a good weapon and can allow for some quick traversing if need be. So for that, I'm going to put it in B tier. Trivia. Before release, the Detonator was intended to allow you to jump much higher, similar to a rocket jump, but this was toned down before it was added to the game. One of the newest weapons added, what was it? 6 years ago. 6 years ago. One of the newest weapons added 6 years ago, on October 20th, 2017. When this weapon launched, it was low-key busted. Then it was patched within about a week, and finally when the novelty wore off, we could see how good this weapon truly was. It was a great weapon for burst damage, and it was pretty fun to use. But it definitely wasn't as good as we probably thought it would be after, you know, we started to see regular flamethrowers again. That being said, it is a B tier weapon. Trivia. There's really not much about this weapon. As I said, it was released not that long ago, and it only had really one series of patches. The Dragon's Fury projectile was 25% bigger than it currently is. In addition, the damage bonus stat that you get upon successions of hits used to apply if you hit them at all. So as long as the hitbox touched them, you would get the increased damage. This was changed to require the center of the fireball to make contact instead. Fire Axe, October 10th, 2007. It sucks, F tier, got new swing animations. I'm not talking about this. The Flare Gun, added June 19th, 2008. I used the flare gun as an example earlier in the video. My opinion hasn't changed in that short time frame. It's a great weapon. Lots of potential for higher DPS, but it gets outshined a little bit by the other two flare guns. With that being said, still a very high C tier weapon. Trivia. When the flare gun was added to the game, it used to do 20 damage rather than 30 on direct hits. Not accounting for afterburn, of course. It also lacked the crit versus burning enemy stat. And when that stat was finally added, it was actually mini crits versus burning enemies. And then it would be updated to mid to long range flares would crit, while up close flares would mini crit. Finally, it was changed to full crits in the Hatless update of 2011. The Flamethrower, added October 10th, 2007 with the release of the game. It's a great weapon. While being basic, it is a great overall flamethrower. It has the lowest cost for Air Blast, 20, which does separate it from the rest distinctly. Like I said, great weapon, B tier. Trivia. Besides Air Blast not being in the game on launch, the Flamethrower also had extreme falloff. The Flamethrower used to kind of suck at launch. The Flamethrower would deal ramp up, but would fall off to just 25% damage, or 75% less damage than the base level, at max range. In addition to that, when Air Blast was added, finally, it would cost 25 rather than 20, and was unable to extinguish teammates. The Flamethrower has had so many changes over the years, I couldn't list them all. These are just some of the more interesting ones. The Gas Passord, added in the Jungle Inferno update of October 20th, 2017. Like the Phantom War, absolutely insane in MVM. Any man vs machine player can attest to this. In casual though, it is borderline useless and only worth running if you're bored and you need something to spice things up. It is high S tier in MVM, probably the best weapon in S tier, even if it's annoying. However, in casual, and since this is a casual ranking, it is an F tier weapon, bottom of the barrel. It's very, very polar weapon. Fun fact. First, if someone is covered in gasoline and decides to rocket/sticky jump, they will be lit on fire despite the fact that jumpers do no damage. 2. This weapon cannot be paired with the Neon Annihilator despite the fact that gasoline soaks enemies. Enemies doused in gas do not count as wet. And 3. In Man vs. Machine, the explosion on Ignite used to be ridiculous, as the explosion used to count towards the damage needed to refill the meter, which basically meant you had infinite gas cans. This was changed very quickly. The Home Wrecker, added March 18th, 2010. Be a Pyro. Engies will love you. Not all that practical otherwise, but still it's a C tier weapon. Trivia. The Home Wrecker did not have the Destroy Sappers mechanic for a little under a month on release, only dealing double damage versus buildings. The Hot Hand, added October 20th, 2017. It's funny, it's cool, you can slap your enemies and stuff like that. It's pretty neat. F tier. Trivia. For a short time, the Hot Hand was renamed to the Slap Attack in the official patch notes before the weapon came to the game. This was reverted by the time the Jungle Inferno update actually came out. The manmelter, added December 15th, 2011. The manmelter is a cool looking item, being able to store crits by holding alt fire on burning teammates. Though, when there isn't another Pyro or Cowmangler soldier on the other team, this weapon just becomes a worse flare gun with infinite ammo. The projectile speed is a nice bonus, but due to the lack of crit/mini crit versus burning enemy stat, this weapon is crippled. At least it doesn't have the 20% firing speed penalty anymore, which is nice, but still, D tier. Trivia. This is one I actually didn't know until I looked it up. The official name of the manmelter is the manmelter 3600ZX. The Neon Annihilator, added August 2nd, 2012. Funny meme weapon. Otherwise, it's pretty much useless. With no complement weapon. D tier. Trivia. The Neon Annihilator has some weird stat history. Like the home wrecker, it didn't release with the ability to damage sappers. And in the Triads pack that the Neon Annihilator released with, the page claims that it has a 20% swing speed penalty. Though when it was added to the game, it instead had a 20% damage penalty, which was then changed to a 20% damage penalty against players. Also, apparently it was meant to break like the bottle, at least it does now. Weird. The pain train was originally intended for Pyro, rather than the soldier and Demoman. The Panic Attack, added December 22nd, 2014. The current Panic Attack is not that bad, but it's often overshadowed by the class's other shotgun options. Pyro has the flare guns, Soldier has the banners and boots, Heavy has the lunchbox items, and Engie, while it's a bit more practical, has the Frontier Justice and Rescue Ranger. This weapon is often just left in a person's backpack to collect dust. C tier. Trivia. Alright, history time, because there's really no interesting tidbits about it, so basically I'm just going to share the weapon's history. The original attributes of the Panic Attack were much different and kind of weird. It originally worked like a budget's beggar's bazooka, where you would start at 0, load up all the shots, and then release them in rapid succession. This weapon was not very good. They would eventually fluff up the numbers a little bit, like the reload and switch speed, and add the ability to store shells rather than automatically firing once you reach 4. Oh yeah, by the way, it originally had a secret clip size penalty. This did not fix it. It would need a complete rework, and it got one in the Jungle Inferno update. Working like it does now, firing in a fixed pattern with 5 extra pellets, and having a spread that increases for each successive shot until you stop firing or until you reload. Though, when it was initially changed, the weapon was still not that good. The spread would get ridiculous and the damage penalty hurt. It originally was 30%. Finally, in the Blue Moon, the max spread was reduced by 40% and the damage penalty was lowered to 20%. Making it easier to use and actually being able to take advantage of the extra pellets. The Phlogistonator. The Phlogistonator. The Phlogistonator. The Phlogistonator. The Phlogistonator. The Phlogistonator. December 15th, 2011. It's something. Yeah, it's definitely something to say the least. Yeah, it only, you know, encourages one of the most simple and dumbed down and annoying ways to play Pyro, but whatever, you know, it's cool. B tier. Trivia. The Oomph meter used to only require 225 damage before activation and lasted 12 seconds rather than 10, though it lacked the invulnerability, instead giving some resistance and refilled all of your health. There are also some neat particle facts. Here's a picture of the early concept particle that the Flog would have used. And another cool little fact, for some reason if you have the spell Spectral Flame on the Flog, rather than having a cool green particle effect in the Flog style, it used the stock flamethrower particle with a little green overlay, which is really, really weird to see. The Power Jack, added September 30th, 2010. The Power Jack is most Pyro's go-to melee choice. The speed boost is just hard to ignore, as it allows you to traverse the map very quickly and effectively. A tier. Trivia. Like the Blitzauger, the Power Jack was also released with the only downside being no random crits. However, the reason it was changed is a bit different than weapons like the Blitzauger. The Power Jack was forced to change due to the Hatless update. One of the weird quirks about the Hatless update of 2011 was that every weapon in TF2 that had a no random crit stat was changed to a 25% damage penalty regardless of what it was. The problem with the Power Jack specifically was that it originally had a 25% damage bonus. So adding a 25% damage penalty to a weapon that had a damage bonus just makes no sense. So instead, they removed the no random crit stat, as usual, but as well as the 25% damage bonus, and replaced it with a 25% melee vulnerability. It would stay this way for a while, but it would be when the item set bonuses were removed from the game, and the passive movement speed bonus from the gas jockey, which included the power jack, Degreaser, and one of Pyro's cosmetics, was given to the power jack. It had a few tweaks from there, but in 2013, that's when we got the power jack that we know now. The Reserve Shooter, added June 23rd, 2011. The Reserve Shooter is a fine shotgun, though its utility is often overshadowed by the regular shotgun, literally any other secondary. The Reserve Shooter requires a fair amount of skill to use effectively, but gives very little in return. It can still be used as a regular shotgun, but you have the regular shotgun for that. What about the switch speed bonus? Well, you have the panic attack for that. This weapon is not bad by any means, but it's just overshadowed and there's very little reason to run it outside of a loadout shakeup. C tier. Quick facts. The Reserve Shooter was only equipable by soldiers for the first 3 months or so after the Uber update. It wasn't until October that the Pyro got the ability to equip it as well. 2. The weapon was already stupid on release. It mini-crit airborne enemies, which included jumping, and even swimming for a short while, but the swimming part was a bug. Then it had a clip size increase from 3 to 4, and the duration in which it could mini-crit from 3 to 5 seconds after deployment. It no longer has this deploy mechanic. But that's pretty ridiculous. Yeah, if you just jumped, this thing could mini-crit. Stupid. 3. Tap Break fixed the weapons, so it can only mini-crit enemies forced into the air via explosion, grappling hook, air blast, etc. However, the Jungle Inferno update treated him nicely. The Reserve Shooter became unable to mini-crit enemies forced in the air by air blast. So it's kind of niche and unusable for Pyro now. Shortshot was unfortunately added June 27, 2012. 8 other people having fun? Use this item right here. It's guaranteed to piss off the entire other team when you inevitably spam this thing at snipers across the map, through choke points, and at objectives. Morally, this thing's F tier, bottom of the barrel. But in reality, it's a B tier weapon. Trivia. This weapon has always been kind of annoying since its inception. However, this weapon wasn't always powerful. At least not as powerful. Yeah, the gunmetal update buffed this thing, giving it these new stats. They reduced the damage penalty from 50% to 35%. It now has increased knockback versus burning players. They increased the blast radius from 92 hammer units to 110 hammer units, which they also did to the Detonator, but god, why'd you have to do it to the Shortshot too? That was a bad decision. And now hits and explosions always mini-crit burning targets. That one right there does it. The only thing they nerfed was reducing the blast force taken by 35% 4 days after the update, because for a short time there was really no reason to run the Detonator. Another fact, this is likely known by most players, but in case you don't, taunt killing with the Shortshot only works up to about 400-ish hammer units. If the enemy is hit outside this range, the weapon will deal normal flare damage. And it uses an actual flare from your... The Sharpened Volcano Fragment, added February 3rd, 2011. I forgot this axe existed. This weapon is just flawed in concept. It's cool looking, and it's not a bad idea on paper necessarily. Hey, Pyro's a fire class, what if we made him be able to light people on fire regardless of what weapon he was using? Let's have an axe that lights people on fire. But why would you need a melee to do what the flamethrower already does better? Especially if it offers no utility and the damage is piss poor, which the Sharpened Volcano Fragment is. So overall, this weapon's a D tier weapon. Trivia. Along with the Sun on a Stick, this weapon was a promotional item for the game Rift. And in its original concept, it was meant to be an Extinguisher reskin, which could have actually been better and a lot cooler than what we ended up getting. The Shotgun, added October 10th, 2007. The Shotgun is TF2's bread and butter. It is one of the few games to do shotguns right. It feels powerful, but isn't blatantly overpowered in any way, taking 2 shots for lighter and medium classes, 3 for soldiers, and 4 for heavies. The shotgun is often thrown out in favor of other items pretty quickly, and for the heavy it does kind of make sense, but with the other 3 classes, Engie, Pyro, and Soldier, I actually find myself coming back to the shotgun a lot because of its reliability. B tier. Trivia. For all classes before September 30th, 2010, they had a slightly different reload speed. Heavy even had a completely different reload animation. This was standardized to get rid of any variance between the classes using their shotguns. And then specifically for Soldier, the current buff banner Juggle Taunt used to be the taunt for the shotgun, until the shotgun received a new taunt in the War update of 2009. The Thermal Thruster, added October 20th of 2017. The Thermal Thruster is fine. It can allow you to get quickly from place to place or up on high ledges the detonator can't get you to. It has a good utility, though because it's unable to deal damage effectively, you become reliant on your flamethrower. If you're a brain rot pyro that didn't even know you had a secondary or all fire, it's not that bad, but it's definitely a risk-reward scenario. It's not super high risk or super high reward, it's just okay. C tier. Trivia. Besides some bug changes, the only stat change it had was several years ago. On release, not listed in the stats, it had 120% slower holster speed than any other secondary, meaning it took 1.1 second to put it away. This was changed to 0.8 seconds, effectively 60% slower. The Third Degree. The fire axe, but with an upside that hardly ever comes into play or matters. Low D tier. Trivia. The Third Degree is the only current weapon in the game to be a direct upgrade from stock with no strings attached. There are some weapons that are technically straight upgrades that you can make a case for, but this one actually has the blue text to back it up.